We will now move to ODA presentation with Jen Skellett.
It's been a while since I've done this. Alright, good evening board, OUSD admin, Oceanside community, and ODA leadership. My name is Jennifer Skellett. I'm a proud 4-5 combo teacher at South Oceanside Elementary, home to the Flying Seahawk students and staff. I'm here to represent Oceanside Teachers Association as a member of the ODA Exec Board and on behalf of our president, Tiffany Ortega, who could not be here today. So, Happy New Year to you and yours. Thank you for giving ODA time to share our priorities with you. If you don't know me, you should know I love my job. Working with students, helping them achieve their academic personal goals, witnessing when students achieve those goals, knowing that I was a part of that effort, I love it. For 27 years, students and their families have been my professional priority. For as long as the Oceanside Teachers Association has been in existence, students and their families have been our priority. So there's this quote, never make someone a priority when all you are to them is an option. Teachers are not an option in the educational system. Nurses are not an option in the educational system. Neither are psychologists, nor school counselors, nor social workers that we just learned about. But yet OUSD has made us feel as if we are an option. The people who work directly with students have not been a priority, as evidenced in OUSD's budget. Despite the past years of historically high COLAs, teachers' raises have not been a priority of OUSD's budgetary plans. We have been treated as an option. Despite our work directly with students, OUSD's people are not the priority. During negotiations, we are asked to look at multi-year projections when prioritizing our OUSD's budget, and yet these multi-year projections are historically incorrect. We have data all the way back to 2009 and 10, that's what we gave to you, where we look at the projected ending fund balance at the first interim, second interim, sometimes third interim, and the adopted budget. But when the unaudited actuals come forward, OUSD's predictions have been wrong. For those of you that don't know, the unaudited actuals are the factual money numbers. Since 2009, we've been held hostage to multi-year projections that are consistently incorrect. The people who have worked directly with OUSD students have been made into a budgetary option. Year after year, teachers come to the table and we ask for money to have a raise. We are treated as an option. ODA members have tracked the ending fund balance for years. We gave this data to you for reflection at the December board meeting during closed session. Today, we're adding more data to the budgetary trends over time. If you look at page 1 through page 3, you can see the projected budgets at each of the interims, and then the unaudited actuals. On page 4, 5, and 6, you can see how wrong OUSD has been historically. Last year, OUSD was off by 80%. The difference between second interim and the unaudited actuals was $45 million, with an ending fund balance of $101 million. In 2021-22, OUSD's projected budgets were off by 20%. The difference between the second interim and the unaudited actuals was $8.4 million. On page 5, you can see the trend continues. 2020-21, OUSD was off by 49%. The difference in the unaudited actuals versus the second interim was $13.8 million, with an ending fund balance of $41.8 million. This is not a one-time mistake. As you can see, this is a trend in OUSD's practice of budgeting. We are told every year that the sky is falling. And when we look at the ending fund balance or the unaudited actuals, we are met with a surplus. It is frustrating, being held hostage over an amount that is horribly and unequivocally wrong. OUSD tells us that we are deficit spending, villainizing health benefits for the people who work directly with students. They're correct, the cost of the healthcare benefits have increased the dollar amount, but the percentage of the budget has remained stable as of the last unaudited actuals, which is the only budget report that's based on facts. Our ODA president came to closed session in December, begging you to look at the trends. Find a way to make teachers who work directly with students OUSD's priority. It is clear we are headed toward impasse because teachers, nurses, psychologists, school counselors, social workers were not the priority. We're not the priority, not with the current administration and not with the current OUSD board. But we've been here before. We've stood on the corners begging for a fair contract, begging to be the priority. Because we work directly with students. We've had to fight every year for a fair contract. Teachers have made our students and their families a priority. When schools shut down, teachers figured out a way to get instruction to our students. We worked well beyond contract hours to support our students and families. We made them a priority. When we reopened schools, we figured out a way to make hybrid schools work, and it sucked. When we opened fully, teachers figured out a way to make school work with the constant closing of our classrooms. Teachers continued making students a priority as we work to fill the learning gaps. Teachers who work directly with students and their families. If we go to mediation, fact-finding impasse after that, they may tell you that you're right, but they may not. They may tell you that you are choosing to fund your personal priorities instead of pivoting and investing in your employees, making us the priority. I know we'll have fractured trust between the association and OUSD if this happens. We've been here before. We don't want to be here again. We are asking for some tough choices and a leap of faith with budgeting that reflects real variables, real numbers. The sky is not falling, and it never has been. And when you choose to direct, how you choose to direct your administration, when we go to negotiate on Thursday, will reflect the relationship we've worked so hard to build over the years between OUSD and our teachers, our nurses, our psychologists, our school counselors, and our social worker. Thank you for your time, and letting Oceanside Teachers Association share our priorities. Thank you.
During this for section 4, during this portion of the meeting, individual speakers will be allowed up to 3 minutes total to address the board on agenda items, including items on the consent agenda. However, the total time for public input may be limited to 20 minutes, while the total time per speaker for a given topic may be slightly reduced in certain circumstances. All persons wishing to address the board will have a meaningful opportunity to do so during this time. An individual may only turn in one public comment card for the public comments on agendized items. We'll move to consent of the items. I'll call for a vote for general consent. Oh, sorry, we had a comment, right? We got one.
We do have one, Emily Richmond.
I'll be talking on 5G, the warrant list, purchase orders. The financial department, as I understand, is approximately 18 staff members. And according to Transparent California, which I'm including the superintendent of business and the director, which is now the executive director, salaries total about $1.5 million for 2022. The purchase orders that are 3045, 3044-8, 3048-5, and 3045-5 are for consulting services for the fiscal department, which adds up to $62,575. This bumps this department over $2 million. I have never noticed consulting services to the fiscal department in that amount or even close to it. Is that a standard practice? The last few years, there has been sloppy accounting practices. Why not pay for a qualified, experienced person in finance who can lead, practice sound accounting standards, and control their department, and who is really looking out to protect taxpayers' money? Now, there's pay vouchers that I'm talking about for October and November 2023 mileage reimbursement. There were approximately 110 requests for mileage reimbursements, and I did not include TC. In October and November of 2019, there were only 52 requests for mileage reimbursements, which also included a few in the months of August and September. I want to know why there are so many driving around the district instead of spending the time and money in the classroom working with students, considering there are 2,000 less students now than there were then. What is the plan? What is the goal? And the results of all this driving around? How is it helping with our academic achievement of students? Where is the transparency about the district scores and safety plan? Why are they only on the consent calendar? Thank you.
We have 4, and they will come in this order. Todd Madison, Madison Williams, Victoria Mariani, and Patty Kay.
All right, well, thanks again to the board for graciously allowing the commenters in the audience to speak to you. So let's talk about labor negotiations again. So from the December 15th update, it looks like OUSD is still proposing an enormous 11% bonus raise. Well, the district is still proposing a much more financially viable 4%. For reference, in 2022, an Oceanside parent needed to make $113,000 to fund their retirement equivalent to what a teacher gets and have equal spending money. Adding 11% to this means they would have to make $125,000 a year to have the equivalent standard of living if it was approved. If I'm reading it correctly, this appears that the district has retreated from the idea that employees would be expected to pay a reasonable share of their healthcare insurance costs as private employees in the real world have been doing forever. The Kaiser Foundation says in 2022, private employees paid an average of $550 a month, or about $6,000 a year. Add that to the 2022 comparable private pay, and a parent would need to make over $120,000 to not only fund their retirement equal to a teacher and take home the same spending money, but also pay for an equivalent health care plan. If we add 11% to that, the parent would need to make over $133,000 a year to match that. How many Oceanside parents make $120,000 a year? I don't know, but given 67% of our families qualify for free and reduced lunch programs, and that threshold is $39,000 for a family of 4, I suspect that pay puts them in the top 10%. If they're in a 2-income family, they may be in the top 1%. So is making the equivalent of $120,000 a year not a fair contract? That's what we keep hearing. Don't those families making less than $39,000 deserve to get something from education funding that actually improves the education of kids? Given the miserable academic performance of the district, one would think that would be the priority here. But as we saw Tiffany and now Jen tell the board, the union demands that they be the district's first priority, not the education of our kids. That is apparently an option. As I've said before, I'm very happy we can pay teachers well. I'd never advocate reducing their annual step and column increases, not at all. But perhaps instead of bonus raises, we could use that money to decrease class sizes, increase starting teacher pay, give teachers money to buy classroom supplies. But we won't do that. Instead, we'll give everyone a bonus raise, which does nothing to improve education or even help teachers manage overstuffed classrooms. Maybe it's time to focus our additional spending on kids, or are they just an option? Why don't we see proposals to do that from either the district or the union? Why do all the proposals simply give more money to adults? I think I know why now. Because the kids are just an option. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. My name is Maddie. I have 2 children in the district. I am a pediatric occupational therapist. I have 20 years experience working with children, and I specialize in neurodevelopment and sensory processing. And last time I gave you guys all those facts about screen time. I didn't ever give you the actual reference list, so if you would like that, I have it. I spoke with a tech person about it, specifically about iPad use and the fact that they don't have some kind of system for teachers to monitor the kids in the classroom, and that they're looking for ways to do that. They have it for computers, they don't have it for iPads, and they're looking for a solution. And I just really wish that we could, instead of after the fact finding a solution for iPads, right now just take off YouTube and the search engines for little 5-year-olds to 7-year-olds, and if they need any kind of educational apps, downloading them instead so that they don't have access to look up anything they want. So I think you guys are doing such a great job with LGBTQIA and the science of reading is amazing. And I just wish that you guys would put the same program at Palo Talk is amazing. Miss Yolanda, Miss Sochi, and Mr. Elvis are wonderful. And the fact that you guys are now using the base teachers to go into kindergarten classes to help with extracurricular engagement is so cool, so thank you. I also want to say that Miss Ruby Castro and Miss Isamar Sanchez at Palo Talk are doing wonderful things. And I also wanted to say that Mr. Maestro Romero is amazing, so tell him that. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I haven't prepared anything, so bear with me while I'm flying off the cuff impromptu. On the progress of the remodel at Pablo Talk, there seems to be a lot of delays, and there's no communication whatsoever, just like a vague communication from our principal about when we're going to be moving. So I'm not sure if she even knows. It feels like there's some work delays going on that we don't know about, like a lot. And then I'll drive by like during the holidays and I don't see work. I don't see people, like some days you don't see anyone, or like one or two construction workers. It's eerie, it's weird. I know that maybe we don't want to share with the whole staff, but even if you just like share it with the remodel committee, it would really help with morale, because like we're in the dark and like we're still dealing with that remodel, but yet we don't know what's going on. And then some of the more sensitive teachers, not myself, because I said when it actually happens I'll believe it and I'll stress them, because I don't believe any of it. But these other teachers are like real freaked out and like really stressed. And I'm like telling them, don't worry. They say this date, but you know, this date comes and goes, just relax. Like when we find out, we'll find out. But the biggest bone of contention I have with this new construction is I'm gonna go back, and I know Mrs. Alvarez is gonna be upset with me, to this lipstick on a pig reference. I'm gonna tell you this, because I have a lot of, my boyfriend was a carpenter, so I know a lot about construction. But on our fascia that we have, and I think it's a stucco fascia, I don't think it's wood like my house, under each of the supporting beams, there's a crack in the stucco. Well, they came and they painted like the gold leaf color, like right over it. It's like, so we can't mud it, we can't mud the crack and smooth it. Can we tear it down to the wire and re-stucco it? Because we're just painting a gilded gold color over like 5 big cracks in the front of the school with the kindergarten room, and it looks like trash, and I just don't understand. Like, we can't do the finishing stuff when we don't have, I know we're not tearing it down, but if it looks bad, I think we should fix it. I think it's a common sense thing on that. So just FYI, if you guys could like inform us of anything, that would be really, really helpful. We're bearing through it, but it is definitely difficult. And then to everything that's going on with the contract, I just wanted to jump in. I don't speak for every teacher. I'm going to speak for Victoria Mariani right now. I would like to see money spent to students. I agree with Mr. Madison on that. I just want to make sure that when we are spending the money, let's not do that upside down umbrella spending. Let's give more to the ones on the bottom, so like classified. Because right now this IA shortage is killing us at all of these elementary schools. I'm sure you guys know, because I've said it at several meetings, and I'm sure other teachers are talking about it. We're getting this big influx from the change in society with all these students with special needs that we're totally happy to support, but we need the support to support them, because I feel like I'm doing both right now in my class. And it is difficult. Listen, praise, after Thanksgiving it's gotten better, and I'm happier, and I see a change in these kids, but it's still very difficult. So we got to give the money to down the lower. And then if we have a little bit more for teachers, fine, and then maybe admin take the smaller, like give the bigger to the ones that have less. That common sense makes sense. That's just me speaking for me. And then also to how the money is not to the kids. When you give the money to the teachers, it goes to the kids, because we spend our own money on the kids, and when teachers are happier and we're productive, we're doing a better job. Thanks.
Good evening. I don't know how we got educated in my day, because there were 40 or 50 in the classroom, and we didn't have all these wonderful special departments, and we didn't have all that wonderful special funding from the state. I guess we just sat down, shut up, and did our lessons. You know, that's all I can say. So I just kind of wonder if all this different stuff isn't, excuse me, Superintendent, isn't making money for all these big businesses, these corporate businesses that are feeding you their programs. Just wondering. Anyway, I came across an interesting story. I thought it was worthwhile. We received about 20 inches of snow this week, so I made a snowman at 8 a.m. At 8:10, a feminist passed by and asked why I didn't make a snow woman. So I made a snow woman. Then my feminist neighbor complained that the snow woman's voluptuous chest objectified women everywhere. So then the gay couple nearby threw a hissy fit and moaned it should have been 2 snowmen. At 8:22, the transgender man-woman person asked why I didn't make 1 snow person with detachable parts. I am being called racist as the snow figure is white. I use food coloring to make one of the snow couple a different color and more racially inclusive. Then I was accused of using a blackface on the snow person. The feminists then complained that the broomstick of the snow woman needed to be removed as it depicted women in a very domestic role. The Council on Equity arrived and threatened me with eviction. ABC News showed up and asked if I knew the difference between a snowman and a snow woman. I said snowballs. Uh-oh, El Camino, you better watch out for your snowball dams. And I was called sexist. I was on the news as a suspected terrorist, racist, homophobe, and sensibility offender bent on stirring up trouble during difficult weather. I was asked if I had any accomplices and my children were taken by social service. My boss called and fired me due to unfavorable social media. By 10 o'clock a.m., I cried into my drink because all I wanted to do was build a snowman. Moral of the story? There's no moral to this story. It is what this world has become because of a bunch of snowflakes. So I'm asking all of you, how many are you snowflake? And how many are perpetuating this ideology and this environment? We don't want it in our districts. So just take that to heart. Thank you.